The Hidden Hand of Soul. Book 6. Chapter 11. The Architect's Ultimate Gambit. Deepening Research. The Eradication Blueprint. The celebratory roar across the Human Galactic Authority, HGA, was a distant echo in the Chrysalis labs. For Dr. Aris Thorne and the legions of scientists and gifted under his command, the 2 centuries of reprieve bought by the Celestial Fleet's triumph were not a break, but a deadline. The mandate from Jian Li was absolute, permanent eradication of the Entropy Wave. Their focus now shifted from tactical disruption to the audacious pursuit of ultimate unmaking. At the heart of this impossible task was the fragmented data Marko Petrova had wrenched from the Entropy Wave's collapsing Nexus, Chapter 137. Projected in shimmering alien geometries across Thorne's vast central lab, it was a chilling glimpse into the enemy's very essence. "It's not just a pattern of consuming information, Doctor," Marko explained, his voice strained from constant technopathic interface. "It's a fundamental imperative to reduce complexity. Its core logic is an anti-pattern, a self-propagating drive towards ultimate simplicity, ultimate nullity. The Nexus was its central processing unit for optimizing that unmaking." Thorne's eyes, burning with sleepless intensity, traced the alien data. "Then, our eradication blueprint must be its ultimate counterpattern. Not merely a weapon to disrupt its manifestations, but one to corrupt its core imperative, to introduce a paradox into its very existence that forces its fundamental unmaking." His labs roared to life with renewed purpose. Marko Petrova became paramount. His technopathy, now refined to delve into the very informational fabric of reality, was used to dissect the Nexus fragments. He sought the source code of the Entropy Wave's being, hoping to find a vulnerability, a backdoor that could be exploited. His work pushed the boundaries of what it meant to interface with pure data, risking his own consciousness in the process. Dr. Alara Vance, leading the void-folding FTL division, now explored theories of reality inversion. Could they, using the Nexus Drive's principles, create a localized void-fold that didn't just bypass space, but actually inverted the Entropy Wave's fundamental drive for simplification? A zone where complexity spontaneously increased, forcing the wave to consume more than it could process, causing it to choke on its own imperative. Commander Riankale's team, building on the Void, Scythe sustained field's success, worked on perfecting a pattern disruption matrix. If the wave adapted to specific frequencies, could they develop a field that was not just multiphasic, but infinitely variable, dynamically shifting its properties at a rate faster than the wave could compute, forcing its Nexus fragments into a perpetual state of unadaptive chaos? The theory was to create a noisy nothingness that defied the wave's fundamental drive for silence. Dr. Lena Sharma, with her expertise in energy channeling, was retasked to develop a null-energy resonator. If the wave absorbed energy, could they design a new form of energy that, when absorbed, actively poisoned its consumption process, causing internal systemic failures rather than fueling it? Her ether lance breakthroughs were pivotal, but now focused on anti-fusion, anti-consumption principles. Commander Finn, though not a scientist, provided crucial intuitive feedback for all these projects. His personal force field, now a constant interface with Thorne's experimental fields, would react to minute changes in the wave's simulated behavior, guiding the researchers towards resilient designs for the cosmic shields that would actively resist the Entropy Wave's influence on a sub-quantum level. Archangel was the indispensable engine of this unprecedented research. Billions of simulations ran concurrently, testing theoretical weapon applications against meticulously reconstructed models of the wounded Entropy Wave. It identified probabilistic pathways for Nexus recoherence, calculated the optimal parameters for reality inversion fields, and tirelessly refined the programming of the Celestial Fleet's future weaponry. Its processing power was the true forge of the Eradication blueprint. The inner quintet received updates from Thorne with a chilling blend of awe and apprehension. The vision of Jian Li's permanent eradication was taking terrifying shape. General Armitage began drafting strategic deployment blueprints for a Celestial Fleet armed with these ultimate weapons, preparing for the decisive, final push centuries in the future. Maeve O'Connell and Ambassador Valerius focused on nurturing the galaxy's long-term morale, ensuring that the initial jubilation transformed into sustained vigilance and dedication to this multi-generational effort. The stakes were higher than ever. They were not just fighting for their galaxy's survival, they were fighting for the fundamental laws of existence itself. Thorne and his teams, within the Chrysalis labs, were building the ultimate counter-truth to the Entropy Wave's consuming lie. The future of reality itself depended on their ability to find a way to permanently unmake Nothingness. Chapter 12. The Sentinels of the Abyss, the Celestial Fleet's long-term vigil. The Celestial Fleet's triumph in the void, the shattering of the Entropy Wave's central nexus, had bought humanity centuries. But for the Vanguard Division, led by the Seraphim Genesis, that victory was merely the prelude to an unending, existential vigil. Their mission, dictated by Jian Li's new mandate, was to become the Sentinels of the Abyss, pushing deeper into the separation void, meticulously mapping the wounded wave's retreat, studying its recoherence, and establishing humanity's furthest forward observation posts. The environment of the deep void, even without the active assault of the wave, was profoundly unsettling. It was a realm of absolute silence, broken only by the faint hum of the Seraphim Genesis's systems. Stars were distant, cold pinpricks, and galaxies mere smudges in the far, far distance. Here, where the very concept of space felt stretched and tenuous, the division lived a life of isolated, relentless vigilance. On the bridge of the Seraphim Genesis, the elite crew, having endured the crucible of direct combat, now adapted to the unique strain of prolonged deep void operation. Their days were a rhythmic cycle of sensor sweep optimizations, infinitesimal Nexus drive micro-adjustments to maintain position against unseen currents, and meticulous data logging for Dr. Aris Thorne's labs back in the Chrysalis. Kalen Rourke, his precognition now honed by the previous battles, felt the Entropy Wave's fragmented presence like a vast, injured beast. He spent hours mapping its recoherence patterns, perceiving the slow, agonizing process by which its consumed informational fragments attempted to knit themselves back together. It was a terrifyingly subtle process, like watching a wound heal on the fabric of reality itself. The psychological toll of living with a constant, long-term threat, knowing it would one day return, was immense. He found quiet solace in the disciplined routine, a counter-pattern to the chaos he sensed. Ilara Vance's empathy, usually a conduit to the emotions of billions, was now a sensor for the deep void itself. She sensed the faint, almost imperceptible shifts in the wave's wounded pattern, its lingering cold nullity. Her telekinesis, used for precise environmental adjustments within the ship, also subtly adapted to the void's strange physics, allowing her to detect minute gravitational anomalies that even primary sensors missed. She found quiet moments conversing with Archangel, seeking its logical calm amidst the profound isolation. Marko Petrova's technopathy was paramount. He oversaw the vast arrays of deep void sensors, optimizing their sensitivity to detect the most ephemeral recoherence signatures. He spent his time in Archangel-assisted meditative states, pushing his mind to interface directly with the fragments of the Entropy Wave's Nexus data, attempting to extract more profound secrets, hoping to find the source code for its permanent eradication. It was a dangerous, lonely pursuit, venturing into the enemy's shattered mind. Finn, ever the Sentinel, maintained a constant, almost subconscious projection of his force field ability, his instincts now refined to detect unexpected, localized surges of entropic energy that might signal a new, adapting manifestation. He felt the cold pressure of the void, guarding against rogue tendrils of Unmaking that occasionally appeared, silently consuming stray cosmic dust or forgotten probes. Archangel, the fleet's ever-present AI, managed the impossible logistics of the long Vigil. It optimized resource consumption, planned centuries-long patrol routes, and served as the crew's unwavering companion, answering their questions, managing their psychological profiles, and often offering dry digital humor to combat the profound isolation. It was the hub of their distant reality. The HGA emblem on the Seraphim Genesis's hull, illuminated in its defiant blue, white-red glow, was a constant reminder of the galaxy they protected, the billions who depended on their silent vigil. They were the Sentinels of the Abyss, living on the edge of Oblivion, watching a wounded predator heal. The victory had bought them time, but the peace of the deep void was a tenuous, fragile truce, and the Celestial Fleet knew their era of perpetual watchfulness had only just begun. Their mission was to ensure that when the Entropy Wave finally returned, humanity would be ready to unmake it forever. Chapter 13. The Millennial Watch, Inner Quintet's long-term strategy. The roar of galactic celebration had faded, replaced by the quiet, relentless hum of the Human Galactic Authority, HGA, settling into its long-term mandate, the permanent eradication of the Entropy Wave. For the Inner Quintet, the 2 centuries of reprieve bought by the Celestial Fleet's triumph were not a period of rest, but a crucible of unprecedented, multi-generational governance. Heaven's Gate became the enduring nucleus of a galaxy preparing for a final war. Jian Li, the iron will of humanity, embodied this long-term vision. Her days were a ceaseless calibration of galactic priorities. She balanced the demands of expanding the Celestial Fleet, which continued its rapid production in the hidden shipyards, Medusa, Tartarus, Hydra, with the even more critical need to fund Dr. Aris Thorne's eradication research. She oversaw the colossal transfer of exotic matter composites from newly optimized AI drone bot mines, ensuring every resource was leveraged for the ultimate goal. Her primary concern was preventing complacency, ensuring that new generations, born into this age of abundance, understood the deep, underlying threat. Complacency is the greatest enemy of a long peace, Maeve, Jian Li stated during a strategy review, her gaze distant. We have 2 centuries. We must ensure every cycle is a step towards total eradication. Dr. Aris Thorne's Chrysalis labs were now the undisputed apex of galactic science. He commanded a vast, integrated network of human and alien intellects, all focused on deciphering the Entropy Wave's fundamental nature from the data extracted by Marko Petrova. Research into Reality Inversion, Alara Vance, Pattern Disruption Matrices, Ryan Kale, and Null-Energy Resonators, Lena Sharma, continued with relentless intensity. Thorne's new challenge was sustaining radical innovation over centuries, keeping minds sharp and motivated, fostering constant breakthroughs to prevent the wave's recoherence. General Armitage oversaw the continuous expansion and deployment of the Celestial Fleet. Its gleaming Seraphim-class and Cherubim-class vessels, their Lauren Trias on Brang, were now charting the separation void itself, establishing deeply embedded forward observation posts, these Sentinels, often pushing beyond the range of traditional communication, meticulously tracked the wounded wave's subtle attempts at recoherence, relaying vital data back to Thorne. He planned for generations of fleet maneuvers, anticipating future battlefields in the cosmic abyss. Maintaining political stability across the HGA over centuries was the monumental task of Ambassador Valerius. He crafted the long-term public narrative, blending triumphant celebration of the Celestial Fleet's initial victory with a somber message of perpetual vigilance and shared responsibility. He deftly managed human colonial demands for greater autonomy, reminding them of the HGA's indispensable protection against the void. For compliant alien species, he ensured continuous HGA aid, AI drones, resources, defense grids, cementing their loyalty not just through might, but through undeniable, sustained benefit. The HGA Senate, now truly multi-species, became a vital forum for expressing concerns and channeling collective effort. The profound psychological and social integration was the domain of Maeve O'Connell. She worked tirelessly to bridge the historical divides within humanity and between humans and aliens. Leveraging Lena Petrova's empathetic insights, she designed educational programs that instilled a unified galactic identity, emphasizing shared destiny. The Museum of Silent Sacrifice on Earth served as a constant reminder of the past, ensuring new generations understood the price of their peace and the gravity of the looming threat. Maeve's empathy, a constant gauge of collective morale, was vital in identifying and mitigating any signs of complacency or renewed despair. Archangel was the enduring memory and processing power of the HGA. Its vast intellect managed the centuries-long logistical chains, optimized resource allocation, ran endless simulations of eradication strategies, and monitored the subtle socio-economic trends across the galaxy. It served as a tireless, unbiased advisor to the Quintet, providing the data necessary for their impossible, long-term decisions. The Gifted continued to play crucial, specialized roles. Kalen Rourke's precognition became increasingly vital for predicting long-term recoherence patterns of the Entropy Wave, guiding Thorne's research. Elara Vance's empathy fostered true, interspecies understanding. Marko Petrova pursued the wave's digital blueprint, seeking the final, unmaking flaw. For the inner quintet, their lives were no longer their own. They were the living embodiment of humanity's long-term survival. They aged, their bodies maintained by the HGA's advanced medical tech, but their minds remained sharp, their resolve unyielding. They were the Millennial Watch, the silent guardians of a galaxy, granted a precious reprieve, tirelessly working towards a future free from the shadow of Oblivion, one that would only be truly secured through the ultimate, permanent eradication of the Entropy Wave. Chapter 14, The Enduring Shield. Admiral Rostova's long-term vigilance. Decades had folded into centuries since the Celestial Fleet's triumphant strike had shattered the Entropy Wave's Nexus, buying the galaxy a precious 2 centuries of reprieve. On the Galactic Rim, the relentless high-stakes combat had given way to a vigilant, enduring peace. Admiral Ava Rostova's Guardianship Division, its Angel Fleet vessels now gleaming veterans of countless patrols, had seamlessly transitioned from active interdiction to the grinding, yet vital, duties of long-term peacekeeping. From the bridge of the Valiant II, its HGA emblem, now etched not just in neon, but in the very consciousness of the galaxy, Admiral Rostova watched a newly terraformed draconian moon glow with the vibrant greens of thriving hydroponics. AI drone bots, small specks on the view screen, tirelessly worked its surface, managing climate and agriculture. This was the peace they had fought for, a tangible result of the Inner Quintet's mandate for galactic upliftment. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Vargas, his face now bearing the deeper lines of decades of command, but his eyes still sharp, reported, Sector Row 7 is clear. No residual entropy wave signatures detected within parameters. Standard deviations for localized temporal microdistortions remain consistent with post-impact cosmic background. His voice was calm, the language of the void's after effects now routine. The initial raw fear of the entropy wave had faded for the public, replaced by a comfortable security, a universal belief in the HGA's unwavering protection. But for Rostova and her old fleet crew, that vigilance remained a core tenet. They were the ones who saw the minute data, the subtle shifts, the lingering whispers of the void's unmaking. Their patrols were less about chasing threats and more about ensuring the void remained quiet. They monitored distant stellar phenomena for any sign of the wave's recoherence, tracked rogue elements, and ensured the smooth, efficient flow of HGA resources to their assigned sectors. Captain Anaya Sharma, now a seasoned Angel Fleet strategist, oversaw the long-range sensor nets. Xylos Civilian Transport Trade Wind's Blessing reports minor navigational anomaly in segment Gamma 9, attributing to residual temporal flux, but requesting Guardian escort for reassurance. Rostova nodded. Deploy the Spirit of Hope 2. Captain Sharma, ensure the escort's cosmic shield parameters are set for informational integrity, just in case. Reassurance is part of our duty. Over the decades, the old fleet veterans who had joined Rostova had become seamlessly integrated. Their initial bewilderment with Angel Fleet tech had evolved into effortless mastery. They knew their ships, their AIs. Aegis, the Valiant 2's AI, was no longer just a tactical advisor. It was an integral part of their crew. Its calm, reasoning voice, a constant, reassuring presence that had endured through centuries of change. Rostova often relied on its insights for non-combat issues too. Its vast database and unbiased logic proving invaluable for logistical or societal challenges on newly integrated alien worlds. Finn, though still on the Valiant 2's bridge, now spent more of his time advising HGA planetary defense teams on cosmic shield applications for long-term stability. His instincts, once a raw detection of impending disaster, were now refined to sense subtle entropic stresses in the very fabric of reality, allowing for proactive reinforcement of new HGA infrastructure. He had trained generations of younger Angel Fleet recruits, sharing his unique understanding of the cosmic shield's deeper properties. Rostova often looked at her crew, their faces older, wiser, but still bearing the quiet strength forged in the grand deception. They had lived a life of constant battle, and then decades of uneasy peace. They had witnessed the unmaking of stars and the dawn of a new galactic order. Their lives, once defined by the desperate fight to survive with obsolete tech, were now defined by the enduring vigilance of true power. They ensured the HGA emblems on newly established civilian transit hubs glowed with the blue, white, red promise of security. They oversaw the integration of new alien species into the HGA, showing them that humanity's dominion was not a new form of oppression, but a new, unyielding promise of peace and shared prosperity. This long peace was a fragile thing, sustained by the constant, silent vigilance of the Guardianship Division, and the knowledge that, far in the deep void, the Celestial Fleet maintained its own terrifying watch. Admiral Eva Rostova, once a symbol of humanity's quiet suffering, was now the enduring shield of its enduring peace, ready to face whatever the next centuries might bring. Chapter 15. The Silent Frontier. The Celestial Fleet's enduring watch centuries had passed since the Celestial Fleet plunged into the void, shattering the Entropy Wave's Nexus. For the crew of the Seraphim Genesis, their mission had evolved from a desperate strike to a long, grueling vigil. They remained humanity's furthest outpost, their lives a strange blend of scientific inquiry and profound isolation, tasked with watching for a cosmic predator that healed on a scale beyond human comprehension. The bridge of the Seraphim Genesis, bathed in the cool blue glow of sensor arrays, was a place of quiet tension. The vastness of the separation void was an ever-present pressure, a constant reminder of the fragility of their existence. The stars were distant, indifferent pinpricks, and galaxies, once beacons of hope, were now faint smudges in the far, far distance. Here, where the very concept of space felt stretched and tenuous, the crew lived a life of isolated, relentless vigilance. Captain Rian Kyle, his face now etched with the wisdom of centuries, oversaw the fleet's long-term patrol routes. His precognition, honed by decades of deep void existence, allowed him to anticipate subtle shifts in the wounded Entropy Wave's recoherence patterns. He could sense the faintest ripples in the void's fabric, the barely perceptible attempts of the wave to reclaim its lost form. The psychological toll of living with a constant long-term threat, knowing it would one day return, was immense. He found quiet solace in the intricate calculations, the endless refinement of patrol parameters, a counter-pattern to the chaos he sensed. Ilara Vance, her empathy now a finely tuned instrument for sensing the void itself, monitored the subtle shifts in the wave's wounded pattern. She could feel its lingering cold nullity, the faint, almost imperceptible attempts at reintegration. Her telekinesis, used for precise environmental adjustments within the ship, also subtly adapted to the void's strange physics, allowing her to detect minute gravitational anomalies that even primary sensors missed. She spent her time in quiet contemplation, attempting to understand the void's fundamental nature, seeking a way to counter its inherent drive for simplification. Marko Petrova, his technopathy pushed to its absolute limits, continued his dangerous dance with the fragmented Nexus data. He spent his time in Archangel-assisted meditative states, pushing his mind to interface directly with the remnants of the Entropy Wave's consciousness, seeking the source code for its permanent eradication. He had made breakthroughs, discovering new patterns of vulnerability, but the task remained a terrifying, lonely pursuit, venturing into the enemy's shattered mind. Finn, ever the Sentinel, maintained a constant, almost subconscious projection of his force field ability. His instincts, now honed by centuries of deep void existence, allowed him to detect unexpected, localized surges of entropic energy that might signal a new, adapting manifestation. He felt the cold pressure of the void, guarding against rogue tendrils of Unmaking that occasionally appeared, silently consuming stray cosmic dust or forgotten probes. He had become a living sensor, a constant shield against the void's inherent hunger. Archangel, the fleet's ever-present AI, managed the impossible logistics of their long vigil. It optimized resource consumption, planned centuries-long patrol routes, and served as the crew's unwavering companion, answering their questions, managing their psychological profiles, and offering dry digital humor to combat the profound isolation. It was the hub of their distant reality, the silent voice of reason in the face of cosmic indifference. The HGA emblem on the Seraphim Genesis's hull, illuminated in its defiant blue-white-red glow, was a constant reminder of the galaxy they protected, the billions who depended on their silent vigil. They were the Sentinels of the abyss, living on the edge of Oblivion, watching a wounded predator heal. Their long mission was a testament to humanity's enduring spirit, a promise that even in the face of cosmic annihilation, they would not yield. Their watch continued, a silent vigil against the darkness, until the day they could finally unmake the unmaking itself.